If you run out of breath when reciting a longer ayah and the stopping symbols are not close enough, can you just randomly stop somewhere and then continue? Well, the answer is no. Stopping and resuming randomly in the Qur'an is wrong, and in many cases, it will cause the meaning to change. That's why there are some rules on how you can do that properly. When reciting the Qur'an, you will alternate between 4 actions: starting, ending, pausing, and resuming. Starting refers to beginning the recitation of the Qur'an, so you weren't reciting before. And ending means you finish your recitation session. Pausing refers to when you stop temporarily with the intention to continue. And resuming is when you continue reciting after pausing. Each of these actions has rules and guidelines which every Qur'an reciter has to learn. So let's see which rules apply on each of these 4 actions. When you start reciting the Qur'an, you may start reciting anywhere except for one position, which is after the last symbol. This last symbol indicates that these 2 ayat are closely related in meaning, and therefore you should not start at it, since the meaning will then be incomplete. So this second ayah in question is continuation of what was mentioned before. So you shouldn't just start here and say, في الدنيا والآخرة, or الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون, because it won't provide the full correct meaning as you can see from the translation. And that's why you should not start from after this symbol. Now, what about ending recitation? Well, you may end your recitation at the end of any ayah except at an ayah that ends with last symbol. Then you should not end there or go to ruku' for the same reason, which is that the meaning will be incomplete. In some Urdu and Turkish mushafs, they have the ayn symbol indicating the most suitable place to end the recitation. But it would not be the only option for you to end as long as you don't end at a last symbol. The next action is pausing, and this temporary stop can happen only at 2 spots: at the end of an ayah or at the stopping symbol. And after pausing, you should resume. And since you could only pause at the end of an ayah and the stopping symbol, you can also resume at any ayah or any stopping symbol. The ayah can still have the last symbol, but that is not a problem in this case since you have already recited the ayah before, so it would be a continuation of the meaning. كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة. But what if I want to pause at a spot where there is no end of an ayah or a stopping symbol? Well, then you will have to perform what we call an emergency stop. Emergency stop is not to be done voluntarily or whenever you feel like it. So if you can keep going, you should really keep going. It is called emergency because you really can't go on because you're out of breath or you can't keep on for whatever other reason. And there are 2 types of emergency stops that you can perform. The first type is stop and continue. This method is to be used only if you understand Arabic and are good at it. So stop and continue means pausing or stopping somewhere in the middle of an ayah, which is also the end of the sentence grammatically. And then you continue from after where you had stopped or paused without having to repeat anything, like in this example. إن تمسسكم حسنة تسؤهم وَإِن تُصِبْكُمْ سَيِّئَةٌ يَفْرَحُوا بِهَا. So right here is the end of the first sentence, and I could pause here, and then I continued from after that spot because it is the start of a new sentence. Now, what would be a better option here is to read the entire part until the stopping symbol in one go. However, if you didn't do this correctly, and you stopped in the middle of an ayah before the sentence is completed, you will make what we call an unsound stop and continue, because this is all one sentence and you can just randomly split it in two like this. So if I don't know how to perform that kind of a stop properly, what should I do now? Well, in this case, we perform what we call stop and repeat, which means to stop and then repeat 2 or 3 words from before you had stopped, which ensures that the meaning connects to each other and the sentence is well recited. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. This method could be performed as many times as you need to, if you are dealing with a longer ayah. So every time you make a stop, you go back and repeat 2 or 3 words from before you had stopped, and then continue, and so on. However, there is a word of caution when using this method, while having no knowledge of Arabic whatsoever. When using this method, and it happens that you stopped around the word قال or قالوا, then you should definitely avoid resuming from after that word, because قال and قالوا mean said and they said. And after it, there is a quote that someone had said, and Allah is telling us about it. So if you resume from after that word, it would then give a false indication that this is an isolated statement in the Qur'an without providing its context. Like in this example. Here in this ayah, if I read this entire part and then stopped at the honored word, Allah, and then I wanted to repeat 2 or 3 words, and I started reading from here, this would give a very unacceptable meaning that you should not be stating as a separate sentence. And therefore, you should go back 1 or 2 more words to give it the proper context that you should be providing for this statement. Now, of course, the better option would be that you would read this entire part in one go and then stop at the stopping symbol as we've indicated before. So, when reciting the Qur'an, you will have to use all 4 of these actions. When starting, avoid starting at the last symbol, and when ending, don't end at it. Pausing is done at the end of an ayah or a stopping symbol, and resuming is done at the same spots, the beginning of an ayah or after a stopping symbol. Emergency stop is performed only if you have to. If you know what you're doing, then stop and continue. But if you don't understand Arabic yet, then stop and repeat 2, 3, and sometimes 4 words before continuation. Thanks for watching.